What you wish for? Better videos.
That's what they wish for.
Granted. That's me dying.
Are you going to be okay?
Yeah. Welcome. Make a wish. What do you want?
Don't do it! Don't do it! It's a trap!
Well, you know what I wish for?
What?
I wish for all our viewers to be excited that we have another video coming out.
You know what I wish for? Well, it's kind of a wish for the viewers. Is that we would make better videos for them.
So,
but we're not going to.
No, we will.
Nah.
You know why we will?
Not on brand for us.
Not on brand for you. Just kidding. Well, anyway, here we are, the Sons of Haddonfield. I'm Ian, and this is Josh. And we're going to be talking to you about the fun, well, mostly fun, franchise, somewhat fun franchise.
Fun, yeah. It has its moments.
That is WISHMASTER.
4 movies in the franchise. The first one coming out in 1997, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Directed by Robert Kurtzman. He doesn't have a ton of films he's directed, but he is well known for his makeup work.
Yeah, very well known guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was produced by Wes Craven.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a good movie. It's a fantastic movie.
Filled with stupendous cameos.
And really horrible CGI, if you look back at it now.
Yeah, it was the 90s. I'll give it a pass for that.
Yeah, very true. And you know, when you're talking about CGI in the 90s, you can't really hold that against the movies. That's how the 90s were.
Yeah.
We were just coming into an existence as
and we,
CGI movie people.
And we're like, whoa, that bad CGI is amazing.
Whoa.
And now we're like, wait, it wasn't so amazing.
That Windows desktop screensaver is blowing my mind. It's like a maze. Yeah. So, Wishmaster follows the plot of an ancient evil jinn.
AKA a genie.
A genie, yes. That gets... But it's more fun to say jinn.
It is.
It's more evil.
It's a nice word.
That gets released in modern times. 1990s modern times, because that's when the movie came out, like we said. And then... Basically, people make wishes and he kills them.
And they don't rub a lamp.
They don't. He comes from a fire opal.
Oh, you mean something like this? Found it at a local flea market.
AKA hanging in my room because that's from Seed of Chucky.
Well, yeah, so don't look deep into this. And don't awaken any jinns.
Or Tiffany and Chucky.
That too.
If you do take the Seed of Chucky part off of it, and you are just left with this piece, then yeah, that is basically the fire opal that the jinn gets trapped in. And of course it breaks. Robert Englund's character is trying to buy it. It breaks, and then mayhem ensues.
And it crushes Ted Raimi.
It does. Poor Ted Raimi. But... if you stick around till the end of the movie, it does not crush Ted Raimi, because our hero, our saves the day actress, our final girl, Tammy Lauren, saves the day by wishing that the past 3 days did not happen, and so you go back in time to that, or no, that the guy didn't show up to work drunk.
Yeah,
that's what it was, and that kind of saves the day.
Mm-hmm. That is the plot. There are some pretty cool kills in this one.
There are.
One of my favorites is when Kane Hodder. You don't expect Kane Hodder to be called a little man.
Yeah.
But he comes out and the djinn is like, "Hey, little man," and I'm like, "Oh, calling Kane Hodder a little man." He's like, "If you want to get in here, you have to go through me. That's my wish." And then, so the djinn turns him into a wall, a glass wall and walks through him, and then he explodes.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Again, bad CGI,
But fun.
But it is a lot of fun. That's kind of how I feel with this movie overall. It's a lot of fun. I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It would have gotten 5, but the bad CGI kept it from getting full 5 from me.
Agreed. But also other fun cameos that we haven't talked about. Tony Todd.
Tony Todd.
The Candyman himself.
Yep.
Gets in there. He wishes to escape. And so he gets turned into Houdini and dies and drowns.
In the water tank.
Torture device.
Yeah.
The escape
the
artist.
straitjacket thing.
From Harry Houdini.
Yeah.
Other fun things to note. Dan Hicks from Intruder is one of the extras in the beginning opening scene. And Angus Scrim, the Phantasm.
The tall man himself.
It narrates the movie.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
And Tom Savini is also an extra. And Walter Phelan from House of a Thousand Corpses is one of the creatures.
Oh.
And so is Vern Troyer.
Yeah, that I knew. He's like the
small djinn.
The little. He's the beginning development of the djinn. I think when we talk about this movie, we have to talk about Andrew Divoff. Is that how you say his last name? Divoff?
Yeah.
Divoff? I don't know. We got to talk about him, who plays the djinn in this movie. I liked him in Wishmaster 1. I feel like his brand of terror and humor were kind of on point. More towards the terror. He wasn't cracking jokes too much, but he was still like kind of cocky and arrogant in the way that he would go after people.
Yeah.
That made it fun. Okay?
Agreed.
Now, obviously, Robert Kurtzman did a great job directing this movie. I also thought the pacing felt good for this movie. It passed by nice and quickly. All the acts I thought were pretty good. The cinematography, again, it's not going to be a standout for cinematography, but it looks good for what the movie is.
Agreed.
So in all of those aspects, the writing, the script, everything, I think this movie is solid.
I agree. Very solid.
So now let's talk about Wishmaster 2.
Evil never dies.
Evil. I know how the Ray that they keep saying like evil and stuff. Like he always has that Ray of talking the Jinn does. That's Andrew Divoff. That's really pretty fun. This was my low point for the franchise, in my opinion. The directing were not directed by Robert Kurtzman anymore. Were directed by Jack Shoulder. Came out in 1999.
2 years later.
2 years later. So it could have been a little rushed. That seems pretty fast to
maybe
for the 90s to pump out a sequel. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe after the first one, all of the other 3 were straight to video.
I am not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Okay, I'm not positive. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong about that. I feel like that's true, though. This one feels like a complete departure to me than what they set up in the first one. I feel like the Jinn character was basically just trying to be humorous. This go around. The scare factor is really gone.
It's way down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not scared of the Jinn at all.
No. And in the first one, like, he looks pretty good still. And in the first one, he looked good, and he still had that, ooh, that's, you don't want to mess with this dude. In this one, I was just kind of laughing at him the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, really? We got a somewhat decent cast. They did okay with the script, I think.
Yeah.
The writing and the script for this one was not good at all, in my opinion.
It felt like they didn't really know what they wanted the Jinn story to be.
Yeah.
Because, it's the waker, the person who wakes up the genie. Like, at some point, they have to make 3 wishes, and on the last one, it unleashes hell. All the Jinn come back and kill everybody. That's the overall plot of these movies.
Basically the same plot for all of them.
But, so it started off one way, but instantly at the beginning, there's a paradox that makes the whole movie not worthy to happen. So this one begins with a bunch of thieves robbing a museum, stealing artifacts, and they happen to break the statue and find the opal again. However, the first wish is when the djinn asked this dying man who was shot. He was the guy who planned this whole heist and knocked the thing over. His first wish was never to have been born.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was never born, the thing would not have fallen over. This heist would not have happened. No more movie after 5 minutes into the movie.
We're done.
Like, that immediately took me like out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, the other movies made sense, but this one...
To a point, yeah.
To a point. Well, like if you put it into the djinn logic. And I was like, what?
The thing that took me out of it from the beginning was that fact that you just talked about, and also the fact that, like, the survivor of the heist, the Morgana character played by Holly Fields, is the main girl that we're supposed to like and we're supposed to be rooting for, but, like, she just shot and killed a security guard and is robbing a museum, but we're supposed to, like, just instantly be okay with this and just start liking her because she's the main character. I don't know. It all felt a little too cheesy. It felt a little too 90s, and the script is just, I can't get past the script with this one.
So, yeah, so that's where it started. But where it ends really takes me out of it. So, well, first off, the djinn decides to get arrested and go to prison so he can start asking convicts for wishes because he has to earn 1,001 before he can ask the other people.
Yeah.
Apparently. So that was a new rule they threw in, and I was like, well, that kind of sucks. Because, you know.
So he's just happily walking around jail. Oh, what do you wish for? Oh, what do you wish for?
And it's very lame and cheesy and not scary at all.
No.
He ends up going to a casino, and guess what? There's a lot of people gambling, and he's like, and the person in charge of the casino is like, the house wishes everyone to lose, and the house is everybody in this place apparently, and it's like, that was dumb.
It was very dumb. And we get some very bizarre scenes after that involving defecating money.
Yep. Crazy crucifixions, and it brings in this whole Jesus
playing
Christianity.
Playing cards, slicing people's heads off. It's just very, very out there. I feel like this would honestly work with a team up of the Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Like, this was the kind of style that we were in, and this was not the style of the first movie, or really the next two movies. So we get kind of this bizarre standalone Wishmaster 2 movie in just living in this bizarre, does it want to be a leprechaun? Does it want to be a serious horror figure? What does it want to be? And it doesn't really ever answer it.
Yeah. To me, the weirdest part about that whole thing is that last little bit when it brought in like the cross and all that stuff. I'm like, that would work good for some films, but like out of the blue, just to throw it in there at the end, it was not.
No, yeah, it was not good at all. If you're thinking of watching this franchise, watch it because you want to see them all, but don't expect too much with this. Now, let's talk about Wishmaster 3 Beyond the Gates of Hell. This was honestly, aside from the original, my favorite one of the series.
I agree.
You agree? So I'm a sucker. We all know this. If you guys know me, if you follow the channel, if you follow my other channel, my Instagram, you know I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I talk about it all the time. The early 2000s, like when I was in high school, growing up, awesome. Horror movies out all the time. Best kind of pop punk music out. Like, that was my time, man. Like, that was awesome. And so any type of early 2000s slasher vibe movie, I'm probably going to like it, even though it's incredibly cheesy. And this fell in that category for me. This obviously isn't the slasher, but it honestly, to me, plays like one. It plays like a campus slasher type movie. You have victims being picked off one by one in a campus setting. So it feels like it's very early 2000s, urban legend. I know what he did last summer kind of vibes, and I am all there for that.
The one thing about this movie that I thought was really cool, AJ Cook is the lead in it. well known for Final Destination 2 and other films. So that was Anna Manuel Vaugier from Saw 2.
Both of them are in this. Both are fantastic actors. I'm a big fan of theirs. And both were in Ripper's Letter from Hell together, which is one of my favorite early 2000s slasher movies. To kind of see them back together was really cool for me. Just to see that chemistry and the cast there. We have a new Jinn.
And a new director.
Thank goodness, in this movie. The Jinn is now being played by John Novak.
Yep, he plays the Jinn in 3 and 4. And both of these films were directed by the same guy, 3 and 4.
So, I was happy because John Novak did a good job. I think they took the Jinn back to more of the origins of how they started him in part 1, where he was mostly scary, but just arrogant about it. Like, he was going to crack a little bit of jokes, but it wasn't because he was trying to be funny. It's just because he was a cocky, arrogant son of a bitch.
An evil Jinn.
Evil, as he would say. So this movie is fun for me because of that slasher aspect of it. You get the creepy professor who's in love with the college students. You get all the tropes, right? You get all the 2000s tropes in this movie.
And it's fun.
It is fun. And you get some pretty good kills. You get some pretty good kills with this. The pacing of it feels pretty good. Does it drag at times? Yeah, it drags at times. But it feels pretty good overall. The acting, if you're a fan of early 2000s movies, the acting is on point. There's a couple dry spots, but for the most part, it's pretty good. The script, we're 3 movies in now to a pretty bad franchise. The last one set up anyway, the first one was really good, but now we're 3 movies in. It's good for what it is.
This one also, to me, had supernatural vibes.
Yeah.
Because one of the wishes, A.J. Cook's character, she invokes the Archangel Gabriel to possess her boyfriend so he can fight the Jinn in an epic battle. And to me, that would have been something straight off of the pages of Supernatural.
I think it has been off of Supernatural before, honestly.
Yeah, so to me, I was like, well, that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And, like, you get an epic sword fight with an angel and a genie, and it's fun.
It is fun. That takes us to WISHMASTER for
The Prophecy Fulfilled.
Again,
this movie was not the highlight.
It was better than 2. Can we agree on that?
It was better than 2.
Okay.
But it wasn't as good as WISHMASTER 3 or 1.
No. What did they do with the Jinn in this movie?
Well, here's what they did. They took a Jinn and they said, what would happen if a Jinn decided to fall in love with the person making the wish? And
then you get WISHMASTER 4.
Yep, that's it.
That's basically the movie. The Jinn is trying to fulfill the prophecy to let all the other Jinns out, but instead, he ends up falling in love with the girl who set him free. And the other Jinns are like, what are you doing? You have to kill. You have to make her wish. All 3 wishes so we can be free. And the Jinn is like, dude, hold on.
She wishes.
I got this, okay? Just let her come to this conclusion on her own. All right? I can't force this upon her like I have the last 3 movies.
Well, because her wish was that someone loved the Jinn for who he really is. And that's
touching.
Yeah, like
it's touching. Just because you're a Jinn doesn't mean you don't deserve true love.
The wording of her wish was such that the Jinn was confused about how he could fulfill it, which wasn't in any of the other films, which was kind of nice.
It was Jinns deserve love too. They are not people, but they are
so different.
Ancient evil demons,
and they stuck to their guns, and they're like, "We're doing this."
They did the thing,
and the acting was pretty good.
It was okay.
It was better than 2.
I believe it was the same guy playing the Jinn, John Novak.
Yep.
And he again does a decent job. It's okay. So the person I could not stand in this movie that really took me out of a lot of it was the character Sam, who is the boyfriend of the lead actress. what an annoying dude that guy was. Yeah, he had a tough accident. He lost feeling in his legs. He had to be in a wheelchair.
And he had no penis.
He couldn't use it. I think he was still there, but he couldn't use it. But my gosh, dude, like, you have this awesome girl who's like fighting for you and telling you that it's okay. And instead of trying to like go out of your way to be like, you know what, I'm going to do what I can for you. We're going to get through this. No, the dude is just pathetic.
Yep. He's like, you're cheating on me with our lawyer.
Like, I just wanted to punch him.
And every time she came up with good ideas, he's like, you're just staying with me because I'm going to make some money. You're just staying with me because you feel guilty.
Then they make the money, and she still doesn't leave. It's like, hey, just take your money and leave. No, I don't want to leave. Fine, take your money.
Do you want to go out to dinner?
No.
Because dinners suck. You just want to leave me. I just want to watch porn on my computer. And then not be able to do anything about it because my penis doesn't work.
I'd fall in love with the djinn too if that was my other option.
Speaking of the djinn, for the majority of the movie is played by Michael Trucco from like Hush and Midnight Mass, are two films you might have known him from, or TV series. And,
yeah.
Midnight
Pretty
Mass.
good actor.
Yeah. He plays the lawyer character who's taken over by the djinn.
Yeah.
And yeah, he did a pretty good job.
At falling in love with the girl. So there you go. You have one movie that's really good. You have one movie that's incredibly bad and crazy. You have another movie that tries to be a campus slasher, and you have another movie that tries to be like a romantic drama with a touch of horror thrown in.
A rom-com with a genie.
A rom-com with a supernatural twist. Those are your 4 movies in the Wishmaster franchise. What is your ranking of them all? Final ranking.
Final ranking. Number 1, Wishmaster 1. Number 2, Wishmaster 3. Number 3, Wishmaster 4. And number 4, Wishmaster 2.
Exactly the same for me. I believe I gave Wishmaster 4.5 stars. Wishmaster 2, I gave 2 stars. Wishmaster 3, I gave 3.5. And 4, I gave 3 stars.
Mine are pretty similar to that.
I think that's what I went with. There you have it. The complete breakdown of the Wishmaster franchise. Honestly, I would like to see them probably do a remake, something like that, to this franchise with the CGI and practical effects and special effects that they do nowadays. I think they could actually do a really good job if they go back to the roots and origin of the first one and tell that kind of a story. I think it could be one that works in today's market.
Because the thing about it that would make it work, in my opinion, is that you don't have to say, I wish, blah, blah, blah. You could just be like, I like, or I want, or like vague words like that, that implied you want something. And the djinn would be like, oh, you made a wish, bam, you're dead, or whatever. So it'd be something like similar, like, I'd like you to leave. Well, that's a wish. That's a request. Like, that was terrifying in the first one. Like, if that could happen, like, that would be scary.
That is true. Have you seen all 4 Wishmaster films? If you have, let us know in the comments below which one was your favorite. If you haven't seen them, hey, tell us if you're going to watch them, or tell us if you're going to skip the franchise. We don't care either way, but we want to know.
Hopefully we inspired you.
Well, we probably inspired you to skip number 2 at least. That is all for you guys tonight. Make sure you go ahead and like and follow. Hit that little bell to get notified every time we post a video. You can follow us on Instagram as Sons of Haddonfield. Our personal accounts are Horror Sensei.
And I Back Joe.
And on Letterboxd at Husker Sensei.
And I Back Joe.
And of course on Twitter at Haddonfield Sons. Thank you so much for watching the video. We appreciate it. And until next time, remember, everyone loves a goddamn lobster roll.
And be careful what you wish for.